Am I the jerk for telling my father-in-law that I don't want the house he bought for us? My father-in-law is a generous man, but he has what he refers to as the asshole gene, meaning that he doesn't stop to consider what anyone else wants in many situations. Since my husband and I have been living with my husband's brother, my father-in-law decided that when the neighbor's house went on the market for a steal, he would buy us the house. After consulting with his financial planner, the decision was made to have both my father-in-law and my husband on the title and deed to the house. We would pay all taxes and utilities, and when my father-in-law passes, my husband would inherit the house. Here's where it gets messy. The house needs a lot of work. Originally, my husband and I were going to be responsible for improvements and repairs. I started meeting with contractors and getting estimates for the work. My husband doesn't know much about home repair or renovation, and I do because my family has renovated multiple old homes. So he has been letting me handle all of the work with the contractors. Even so, my father-in-law will not speak directly to me about anything related to the house. My poor husband has to play messenger, telling me what his dad wants to do, then telling his dad that I have actually got it handled and want to do something different. The final straw came today when my husband relayed to me that his dad has said that any permanent changes to the house that cost more than $5,000 have to be approved by him. Even if we are paying for them, he wants to sign off on any and all decisions, including tile colors and light fixtures. So I forwarded all of my communication with the contractor we had chosen, we haven't signed anything yet, and said that if he wants to make the decisions, then he can make all the decisions. He will own the house, and we will sign a rental lease when the work is done. He will have to pass city inspections for rental units and abide by all state and local rental laws. Now he is mad, and I am ungrateful, selfish, and controlling. At this point, I don't even want the house anymore. I am ready to take the cat and go stay with my brother, but I don't actually want to leave my husband. I am just sick of catering to his dad's whims. Your actions were justified. This is how he will control both of you until he dies. He bought this house for you, but you can't have it until he dies, which he can hang over your heads as leverage for control. Your issue is with your husband. You both need to have a serious talk about whether this is really what you want. It would be a smart move on your part to not invest any money into the house outside of paying bills. Am I the jerk for not helping my sister just because she has cancer? About 4 months ago, my sister was diagnosed with sarcoma, a kind of bone tissue cancer. She has had to go through many procedures and spend a lot of time at the hospital. I have spent a lot of time with her and helping her, and while I don't mind helping her when she was diagnosed, my mom expected me to drop everything to be there for her. This meant that if she was at the hospital, I had to be at the hospital. If she was undergoing a surgery or a stressful procedure, I had to stop everything I was doing, including school, and sit in the waiting room as support. I could handle all that, and it was annoying, but whatever. However, recently the doctors decided to start chemotherapy, and my sister's hair has begun to fall out. She shaved it, but is extremely upset because she really loved her hair. The other day, my mom suggested that I shave my own hair so a wig could be made out of it for her. For reference, my hair goes down below my butt. The thing is, in our tradition, you are only supposed to cut your hair when a family member dies, a tradition my entire family upholds. To be frank, I like my hair and have no desire to shave it, as I have been growing it out since I was a child. I explained this to both my sister and my mom, but both insist that I should do it, saying that a tradition like that is meaningless, especially since my sister might die anyways. I told them no. They have both asked several times more, and my sister has even begged. I once again reiterated why I wouldn't do it and said that asking me to was insulting. Now my sister is upset and saying that I obviously don't actually care that she is struggling and that I am not being understanding. I have bent over backward for her, so the fact that she is going so far hurts. But she has never asked me for anything like this before and is really upset, so I just don't know. Am I the asshole? You did nothing improper. The American Cancer Society has a free wig bank, so there's no need for your sister to insist that your hair is the only option. Your mom can use her own hair if she wants to so badly. Being voluntold to cut off what you see as your identity right now is asking too much. Am I the jerk for admitting my sibling taught me how to cook and refusing to teach my stepsiblings? My older sister, who is 26 years old, taught me, who is 16 years old, how to cook years ago. Whenever I go to her house, we cook together too. She doesn't speak to our dad at all, and she never met his wife or his stepkids. She always said she's not a part of dad's family, but she and I are family, and that feels pretty right. Honestly, I feel like I'm a part of her family but not dad's. He's just made so many mistakes, and he only owns up to some of them. Some of the mistakes happened when our mom was sick, like disappearing for days at a time and leaving my sister to take over caring for me and our mom. He also sold a lot of mom's stuff so we would have more money in the direct aftermath of her death. He invited a random woman into the house after mom's funeral, very clearly had sex with her while we were in the house, and let the random woman wander around like she owned the place until the next day. He admitted to my sister that he cheated while mom was dying. I heard him confess to her. These are just some of dad's mistakes. He didn't give any consideration to us. My sister decided to leave 8 years ago and said even back then, she would never come back, which she hasn't. I sometimes cook for myself. I eat at friends' houses a lot too. The other day, I went out to grab some ingredients and made a pasta bake for myself. My dad's wife and her kids came home while I was eating. His wife questioned me later in the day and asked where I learned to cook. I admitted my sister taught me. She told me it would be great if I taught her kids because it would give us some bonding time. I said no, I didn't want to. She insisted it would be perfect and a sweet idea. Dad didn't say anything. His wife's daughter got excited because she saw it as a done deal and said she really wanted me to teach her. When I didn't give in, my dad's wife told me I should pass on the big sibling knowledge of cooking and that it's important I take on an older sibling role with her kids instead of acting like we're strangers. I said we really are. I told her I already have a sister and I don't need another sister or a brother. I also told her it wasn't my job to be her kid's big sibling. She told me it's selfish to hold out when I had a big sibling to teach me. Am I the asshole? In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. Tell her that her children don't have an older sibling like you do, but they do have a mother to teach them. Forcing you to step in will only create resentment and harm the current relationship with her kids. Your sister learned cooking without an older sibling or even parents, and her children will figure it out eventually too, especially since they have her. Am I the jerk for indirectly telling my friend that his partner is unattractive? About a month ago, I, a 32-year-old male, had my middle school friend Mike, also a 32-year-old male, and his girlfriend Jessica, a 30-year-old female, over for a canceled Dungeons & Dragons game. I showed them a comedy YouTube channel I have followed for years. Last week, Mike and Jessica became huge fans of the channel and even got others in our group to watch it. During our weekly Dungeons & Dragons meetup, our dungeon master, a 28-year-old male, asked which female cast member we would date. Most people, including Jessica, picked a blonde cast member, with Jessica commenting, "She's hot." When it was my turn, I chose a brunette cast member I thought would make a good girlfriend. Mike, assuming I would pick the blonde because she apparently is just the obvious answer, started pressing me for reasons. I mentioned that I do not find blonde-haired women attractive. To be clear, this is not the only reason. I also preferred the on-screen personality of the brunette. She seemed loving, caring, and passionate, and her sense of humor matched mine. The main point for me, though, was that the blonde woman was recently married, and I feel weird crushing on celebrities I know are in a committed relationship, having once been married myself. That night, Mike texted me saying I hurt Jessica's feelings because I called her unattractive. I told him Jessica is pretty, and I am sorry I hurt her feelings, but of course I am not attracted to her. She is his girlfriend, and the blonde hair is just a personal preference I have. I went to sleep and woke up to messages from Mike, the Dungeons & Dragons group, and mutual friends. Mike had messaged everyone, claiming I called Jessica ugly because she's blonde, which was not what I said. I called Mike to clarify, explaining that not finding a YouTuber attractive did not mean I think Jessica is ugly. A person can be pretty, and you can still not be attracted to them. Mike then asked if I found Jessica attractive, and I replied, "Why does that matter? She's your girlfriend. I am not supposed to be." I have always been kind to her and treated her with respect, even joining in on the jokes the group would make about how she is out of his league. The last week has been like high school all over again. Texting people to clarify what was said, rumors spreading, and speculation. He said, she said. We are all grown adults. What the hell? I tried getting Jessica's number to talk with her directly and apologize for the misunderstanding, but all communication has been through Mike or a third party. Last night, no one showed up for Dungeons & Dragons at my place like we have done for 3 years. One of the guys texted me, saying they went to Mike's place instead. This week, Mike informed everyone that both he and Jessica were out of the group if I was still there. Jessica also said things about how I am just jealous because Mike got a hot girlfriend while I am alone with my hand and pictures of the girl he dated in high school. I personally do not believe that was said by her, as she has never been a mean-spirited person. The whole group knows that girl was my wife, who, along with our 4-year-old child, died in 2020. The Dungeons & Dragons game was originally set up to help me with depression and cope with the grief. The whole thing is just so stupid, I feel like I am losing my mind. Sounds like this entire incident is a wake-up call to find better friends. Mike is incredibly strange for outing people who think his girlfriend is just not their type. What does he want you to do? Drool over her and tell Mike he's lucky to have her? Am I the jerk for refusing to visit my sibling and their newborn? I am a 22-year-old female and the youngest of 3 in my family. My parents got married when they were both 20 years old and had my sister and brother pretty quickly after. They always planned on just 2 children, but they accidentally became pregnant with me when they were 38 years old, making my sister and brother 16 and 15 years older than me, respectively. My parents and family have constantly reminded me throughout my childhood, up until now, that I was the mistake in sly ways. My mom, on a few occasions, has told me she wished she never had me because I ruined her body. Growing up, I was often compared to my sister and always reminded of how I paled in comparison to her. Relatives would often berate me about my appearance, especially acne, which I have no control over. My aunt once told me it is a shame that I was born dark, and how my parents were blessed to have one daughter with lighter skin. My own mother would say how much of a disappointment I am for not being as educationally gifted as my sister, even though we both got A's in high school and college. She has even told me that my degree wasn't as useful as my sister's, even though our careers are in the same field. My father would avoid looking or speaking with me but would constantly communicate with my other two siblings. He would only speak with me if he had an issue with what I was doing. Because of this, over the years I have developed a dislike towards her. I hate being near her and I loathe seeing her. I would often evade her if she entered a room. Also, because of our age difference, we have never really talked properly or interacted a whole bunch. I've never heard her say anything bad about me, but I just can't help it. I dislike her. When I left for college, I really started enjoying life again and became more social. In general, I felt happier and freer and felt like I didn't have to act so grumpy and depressed all the time like when I was at home. However, after I graduated, I came back home for the summer and have regressed back into that mentality. It also didn't help that my sister was pregnant with her first child after suffering from infertility issues, and everyone around me constantly talked about how she looks radiant and beautiful. Earlier last week, she gave birth to a baby girl, and everyone has been visiting her at the hospital. I was able to weasel my way out of going when she was in labor, but now, everyone is pushing me to go, calling me rude and selfish if I don't. I just don't want to go because I don't know what I'll say if I hear one more person make a comparison or compliment her. You are not in the wrong, but this isn't your sister's fault. 90% of your post is about your resentment towards your family, not your sister specifically. Find a chance to talk to her about this dynamic when the rest of your family isn't around and see how she feels about it. If she were to start defending you, this behavior might quickly stop. Am I the jerk for telling my neighbor to grow up, get a life, and get over the fact that I painted my house a color he doesn't like? I bought a house in a community without a homeowners association because I wanted my home to be my own, including making it look the way I want. I also chose a neighborhood that already has fun, colorful houses instead of just plain earth tones. I finally got to the point where I could repaint my house. I picked a soft peachy color with sage blue and soft and dark pink accents. It is fun and colorful without being too out there. I think if you Google Coolers Blue Sage Peach, you'll see a similar palette. My neighbor Paul hates it and has been complaining since we started the project. He also made his opinion known that he hates our front lawn, which has lots of wildflowers, sunflowers, fun garden flags, and a little free library. Each and every time I've told him that I don't care. Truly, I don't. I've suggested a few times that maybe he'd be happier in a homeowners association community that has control over everything and forces people into having earth-toned homes. Paul got angry when I suggested that and said he's lived in his home for 15 years and shouldn't have to move. I told him that he'll have to learn to live with a little color. Last weekend, I was putting in pavers that my niece and I had painted together. They're all things like ladybugs, turtles, and birds in fun colors. I adore them, and my niece is so excited she gets to be a part of my home. Paul came over to complain yet again, saying it was all an eyesore. My niece was here, so I just told him, "It's time for you to grow up and get over what I'm doing with my house." He got even angrier and told me that I have no right to talk to him this way. He asked if I knew who I was talking to. I told him to just go away and get a life. If he has so much free time to complain about a colorful house, maybe he should get a hobby. He stormed off, calling me a nasty piece of work. My niece was laughing on the side. For the record, no one in my family is uptight, and we really don't care about cursing. I know some people still get upset about it around kids, but she is 15 years old, and I'm sure she says worse. One of the other neighbors came to tell me that he's been complaining about how disrespectful I was to talk to him like that. She told me that she knows he's a pain, but that he has been in the neighborhood forever, and it's worth being nice to him. I don't know. Is telling him to get a life that big of a deal? Am I the asshole? Next time he comes by with a complaint, maybe suggest that he pay your mortgage and bills if he wants a say in how your house looks. Otherwise, remind him that as the one footing the bills, you're going to continue doing whatever you want with your property. It's not fair that he creates the conflict and then gets offended when called out. Some people just don't understand politeness, so telling him to get lost might be the only way to get some peace. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.